Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 to Howl. Utah Mammoth lose 4-2 against the Colorado Avalanche after the Olympic break. It's been 4 weeks since I've watched a Utah Mammoth game and since I've done a recap video. So I'm rusty, the team, the Utah Mammoth, were rusty. So let's get into it. But before we do, I will be going live tonight on YouTube. Yes, I could finally be confident in saying the time I will be going live. 7 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Try to be there, or you could watch the VOD. That's just as important as being live. Let's get into the game. Cooley and Kerfoot are finally healthy. They are in the lineup, so they made some lineup changes. The first line stays the same: Keller, Schmaltz, Krause. And then you got Gunther, Cooley, McBain, then Peterka, Hayden, and Yamamoto. Carcone was sick, so he didn't draw into the lineup. And the fourth line, always wanted this all season: Kerfoot, Stenlund, and Tanev. Interesting, they put McBain on the wing and leave Hayden at center, third line center. I know the hating Hayden fans are wild, especially in that video I made. A lot of people have distaste for Hayden. Obviously, the coach trusts him, keeps him in the lineup. The analytics love him, but I agree. He's got to finish and put the puck into the net. Olli Maatta was scratched, surprisingly. I think what Olli Maatta brought to Finland was great. Just we need Olli Maatta to be defensive, to be structured, to be dependable. And I think they could have used him in the lineup instead of DeSimone. Be like, hey, just play like you did in Finland. We don't need you to be an offensive dynamo. We don't need you to pinch, take risks. Just play that defensive sound game. I would have liked to see Maatta draw in, maybe coming off that Olympic bronze medal, maybe gain an Olympic bump. Maybe next game against Minnesota Friday night at home, we might see Olli Maatta. And Daniel Boot was sent down to the American Hockey League in Tucson to join fellow countryman Dmitry Simishev. Let's finally get into the game. Early on, a minute in, Colorado has a 2-on-1, but they cannot connect on it. This was a very slow start to the game. The shots were 1-0 Avalanche 4 minutes into the game. Both teams looked a bit rusty, unsure of themselves, but more the Utah Mammoth than the Avalanche. Utah, the first period, maybe even parts of the second period, looked so out of sorts, looked so disjointed, but they started to pick up the pace near the 7-minute mark of the first period. There's a nice chance, Tanev to Stenlund in the crease area, who got a nice tip, but Wedgwood makes the save. Former Coyote Wedgwood needs to stop playing against Utah. He's unbelievable every time he suits up against the Mammoth. And then there's a goal by the Avalanche, but it's waved off. Well, not waved off. They call it a goal. And then they go to the instant replay. They review it. Utah challenged it. There's goaltender interference, so they call it no goal. It took a while, surprisingly. I thought the moment I saw the first replay, I'm like, that's for sure no goal. But it took them like 2 minutes to make the call that it was no goal. You can't do that. You can't hit the goalie's glove and prevent the goalie from making the save. That's the whole point of goaltender interference. I just needed one replay to call that no goal. After that, there's a Jersey turnover at the defensive blue line, leads to an Avalanche breakaway, and Vejmelka makes an unbelievable big save. The player goes forehand, backhand. Vejmelka stays with him, makes a save to keep the game scoreless. There's some issues with Cooley and Gunther being reunited. Cooley hasn't played in like 2.5 months, nearing 3 months. Just they couldn't connect on passes, miscues, going offside. A lot of disjointedness, especially with Cooley and Gunther. A little bit forgivable for the first game, but I don't want to see that for the second game after the Olympic break. Utah was pressing near the end of the first period, even though they looked rusty. They were overpassing. It seemed like they were getting their training wheels off near the end of the first, and at least to generating a power play, but it was 1 minute left in the first period. So it's one of those weird transitional power plays that's really hard to score on because you got an intermission separating the power play. So the first period ends 0-0. Shots were 8-8 for both teams, and Utah only had 42% of 5-on-5 possessions. So we go into the second period, still in that power play. They had some good looks, but again, keep using the word disjointed, out of sorts. The passes were not smooth. The passes were not crisp on the power play. And then there's a Krause. He gets sprung, an unbelievable hockey IQ play by Keller. Down in the corner in the defensive end, takes a slap shot. I'm like, why is Keller taking a slap shot right beside Vejmelka? It's because he saw Krause beating the Avalanche defenders. So Keller intentionally ices it, bounces the puck off the backboards. Krause beats the icing, and he's all alone on Wedgwood, but he gets denied. Unbelievable play. You rarely see that by the Utah Mammoth. And then Schmaltz has a partial breakaway, but he can't convert on a goal either. Utah's starting to get their chances, but the Avalanche unfortunately get the first goal of the game. This player, Avalanche player, skates through 4 Utah players. You got to get a stick on puck there. This seemed like shinny hockey or pickup hockey. I'm not sure if they use the word shinny in the States, but this player just skates through 4 players. No one's getting the puck, no one's getting the body, and just lackadaisically gets by these guys and shoots it against the grain. It's a clean shot. It's a weak goal. Vejmelka should have had it too, but definitely don't like the defensive coverage on that goal. And the defensive coverage for the next 2 goals are even worse. So Avalanche go up 1-0, and right after the goal off the faceoff, they get another breakaway, but they can't connect. The puck, rolls off the player's stick, but the Avalanche were applying a lot of pressure for the first time during that goal, and after they scored, there's a Cooley chance dangling in the offensive zone, but he can't make anything happen. It seemed like Utah couldn't make the right pass. Usually when you watch Utah or good hockey teams, you could kind of telegraph where the puck's going to go. Pass it there, that player is open. But tonight, it seemed like they're having so many struggles making that right pass. There's a Keller chance alone in the crease, point blank, but he's saved again by Wedgwood. Utah had a lot of crazy, dangerous chances. And then the Avalanche make it 2-0. Utah has a puck in their own end. They can't clear the zone. The Avalanche find an uncovered, uncontested player in the slot. He picks his shot and scores. Don't like that defensive coverage. You cannot leave a player uncovered right in front of your goalie. Like, that's hockey 101, defensive hockey 101. The defensive coverage this game really cost them the game. You can't really blame Vejmelka there. When an NHL player is right in front of you with time, no pressure, and can pick his shot, 8, 9 out of 10 times that puck's going to go in. Luckily, Utah does get a power play after going down 2-0, and they score. Dylan Guenther, the one-timer, this goal. Man, this is why we watch the Utah Mammoth. I mean, he one-times it in his office, and the small space, short side above the shoulder of Wedgwood, perfectly placed shot and a wire of a shot. You don't even see the puck when Guenther lets this go. It's totally unbelievable. So Utah makes it 2-1, but it's quickly back to a 2-goal deficit when the Avalanche score to make it 3-1. The Avalanche player has the puck in the corner, throws it to the slot, that low to high play that seems to eat Utah alive. And again, the Avalanche player in the slot who scores, there's no one around him, and he could easily just make a good shot, and he scores to make it 3-1. That was a minute and a half after Guenther made it 2-1. And then Utah makes it 3-2. It's Guenther again, and Cooley, all game, it seemed like Cooley was entering the O-zone with speed, with possession, but losing the handle. This time he does lose the handle of the puck. It gets to McBain, who sort of just leaves it there for Guenther to just step into this and one-time a loose puck past Wedgwood on the blocker side. Same sort of spot where he scored his first goal. That's his 27th goal of the year to make the game 3-2. Last year, he had 27 goals in 70 games played. So he's tied his goals from last year in 14 less games played. Right when you think Guenther has hit his ceiling of goal pace per game, he just eclipses it season after season. Great job by Dylan Guenther. 2 goals in a span of like 5 minutes. After making it 3-2, Krause intercepts a clearing chance, a clearing attempt by the Avalanche. He's on a breakaway, forehand, backhand, beats Wedgwood, but hits the crossbar. That could have been easily 3-3. And then Utah goes on a penalty kill late in the second, and the Avalanche score to make it 4-2. It's a mirror of Guenther's goal, except the one-timer is pretty low, sort of above the pad, below the glove. Vejmelka, yeah, a bit slow coming across, really rusty on that part. He knew it himself. He was upset with himself. He knew he could have had that. It wasn't like a perfect, accurate shot. It was just the speed of the shot and Vejmelka not getting there in time. And so it's 4-2, Utah going into the third period. They do get a power play really late in the second, 36 seconds left. So another one of those weird transitional penalties. Utah was outshot 14-9 in that second period, only 38% of 5-on-5 possession. The analytics did not like Utah this game. But we go into the third period, and Utah had an unbelievable push here in the third. On that transitional power play, they actually go 5-on-3 for a full minute, and Keller hits the post on a one-timer. But overall, I felt the 5-on-3 was a bit too high in the zone, a bit too perimeter. When it's a 5-on-3, you got to get down low. The goal of a 5-on-3 is to create mini 2-on-1s. You got to get players in bad position. So put the puck low and try to find these mini 2-on-1s where you could, get the defense out of position. If you play high in the zone, like to Sergachev or Gunther or even Keller, like too high, too perimeter by the boards, the PK triangle just has to stand there and cover the shot. So you got to get deeper, closer to the goalie, closer to the crease, and get these defensemen moving and out of position. They didn't do that. So they don't score on a 5-on-3 a minute into the third to make this game 4-3. Then they go on a penalty kill right after the power play. It's a huge kill to stay in the game. And then they start to generate a lot of momentum, shift after shift. It was just all Utah Mammoth. It started with the second line of Cooley, Gunther, and McBain, where they had a minute and a half in the O zone. The Avalanche were tired. I believe there was a broken stick, just generating a lot of momentum. Utah was building off it. 5-on-5, they were the dominant team in this third period. They do get a power play, 6 minutes left, but they commit a penalty on the power play. So it goes 4-on-4 for a little bit. Then they kill off the 1 minute of PK time. They pull Vejmelka, 2 minutes left. There's a Schmaltz post. That's 3 posts that could have made this game a lot closer, maybe push into overtime. The Krause crossbar, the Keller one-timer on the 5-on-3, and now with the empty netter, Schmaltz hits the post from the slot. Also, Wedgwood made an unbelievable blocker save on Cooley on another one-timer off to the side. Wedgwood just looked really good this game, and we'll talk about more of him later. But Utah lose 4-2. They outshot the Avalanche 13-3 in the third and had 78% of 5-on-5 possession. Loved that third period. They got to build on it. They didn't look as rusty in the third as they did in the first. Overall, Utah outshot the Avalanche 30-25. PP 1 for 5, could have been better, especially on that 5-on-3. You need a goal there. PK 2 for 3, and face-off 60%. So great to have Kerfoot back in the lineup. Overall, 5-on-5 possession was 45%, which is really bad, not characteristic of Utah. Overall in the season, they're around 54%. So definitely a weak game in terms of possession numbers, especially in the first and second period. 5-on-5 expected goals. The analytics thought the Avalanche were the better team 5-on-5, so they had better expected goals. But overall, all situations, considering those 5 power plays and the 5-on-3, Utah was expected to score 4.2 goals, and Wedgwood had a goal saved above expected of 2.19. So Wedgwood saving 2 goals that the analytics thought should have been scored. And Wedgwood was the story, even though you don't like to say they got goalied because it's such a cop-out and easy excuse. But, Utah had their chances, a 3 posts, some incredible desperation saves by Wedgwood. This game could have been a lot closer and probably should have went to overtime, but I still don't like how Utah played out of the gate in this game. They're still 4 points up in terms of playoff buffer. LA lost, Anaheim won, but Anaheim's in the Pacific, so you don't need to worry about that. They're in the top 3 of the Pacific Division. So Utah just needs to worry about the wild card and people below them. And Seattle lost, LA lost, so that's good. And they get Minnesota coming off on a back-to-back Friday night. So maybe they could catch Minnesota tired. Obviously, they're facing 2 elite, one of the best teams in the league already after the Olympics, Avalanche and Minnesota. Hopefully they could learn how to show up for those games and play to that standard that the Avalanche and Minnesota play. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.